So, I heard you're looking for a go-to source for entertainment.
Wait for it.
Gaming?
Wait for it.
Anime?
Plus Ultra!
Mr. Eric Almighty and Phil the Filipino? Yeah, they've got you covered. And all you gotta do is... wait for it. This is the Wait For It podcast.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Wait For It podcast. I am your co-host, Phil Smith, aka Phil the Filipino. And joining me as always is your other co-host, Mr. Eric Almighty. And Eric, we are here with the May edition of the international feature. Super excited, also a little anxious to talk about this film today, as it is a movie that I recommended actually a couple of years ago on the now gone episodes of Netflix, and Phil talked about this film that is over on Apple TV, my favorite streaming service. And today we will be talking about Wolfwalkers, a 2020 film that really kind of flew under the radar because I hadn't even heard of it until like 2022, I believe, is when I first watched it. And Eric, this is definitely, in terms of the things from Apple TV that I have been trying to get you to watch, is definitely up there. So excited for for us to talk about this film, see what you and your family thought of it, and then hopefully get more of our listeners to watch it and give their opinions as well.
Out of everything you wanted me to watch, this was a shocker. Just off a first glance, not knowing what it was about, just an animated film. Most of the things you recommend on Apple TV Plus, whatever that's called, I just got it, so I'm still learning the terminology. Severance, Ted Lasso, all these live action or comedy based type of shows. And yeah, this was the first thing that you've recommended on that platform that I'm watching. So I think this will be interesting just off of that. It's inaugural, but I am excited to get into it. A great recommendation. I think we'll have a fun conversation. I definitely, while I enjoyed it, have some things to get off my chest. So I am excited to jump into that. And there may or may not be a little spoiler section at the end to talk about it in depth, but I think it'll be good nonetheless.
Fantastic. Well, before we dive into the episode, I want to welcome in any brand new listeners as well as returning listeners to the podcast. If you want to know where you can find all the rest of our content as well as our social medias, make sure you stick around to the very end. We'll let you know you can find all of that. But without further ado, Eric, you are coming off of a long weekend yourself, as far as mentally, physically, you are spent. I have a big basketball game to prepare for here later this evening, so why don't we just dive in to the film? And as mentioned,
well, hold on, let's just pause there. You said that like you're gonna physically play a basketball game. You're just watching the game.
No. I stand up and I like mimic like Luca's moves. Like my knee hurts right now.
Okay.
Yeah, my ankle is taped up. So
I don't want to brag, but I walked 22,000 miles yesterday and watched Simple Plan play in concert. So
yeah,
different experience.
I've played 10 NBA playoff games in the last couple of weeks. So same.
Are you saying like physically?
Yeah, because that's what I'm saying. I'm doing all the moves with Luca. You know what I mean? So yeah, we're in the same. We're the same.
It feels like they're different, but go on.
Sorry, because you heard I'm Just a Kid live this weekend. You had more of a taxing weekend.
That was after about 15,000 steps taken. Yeah. Maybe miles.
Nothing like hearing a 50-year-old man sing I'm Just a Kid. I saw them at Warped Tour a couple of years, the very last traveling Warped Tour a few years ago. They still got it, man. they still got it.
They're really good live, but I've derailed the episode enough. I'm so sorry. I just couldn't. Just the way you transitioned was like, yeah, we're the same. And I'm exhausted.
I'm getting my stretches in, and it'll be great. I'll be right where you are here shortly. Wolfwalkers 2020, directed by Tom Moore and Ross Stewart. In a time of superstition and magic, when wolves are seen as demonic and in nature and evil to be tamed. What is this? Why? Okay, I gotta divert from Letterboxd. Hold on. In a time of superstition and magic, when wolves are seen as demonic and nature and evil to be tamed. There you go. I got it now. A young apprentice hunter comes to Ireland with her father to wipe out the last pack. But when she saves a wild native girl, Their friendship leads to her discovering the world of the Wolfwalkers and transform her into the very thing her father is tasked to destroy. So, Eric, I'm just going to throw it to you here first because you have watched this most recently. I actually went back and listened to my Netflix and Phil episode from a couple years ago, as well as touched up on some of the trivia and just the knowledge I picked up in terms of preparing for that episode, because a lot of work was put into this film because of the type of animation that was used. So I want to discuss that here in just a moment. But you watched this with your family, I believe. So just kind of general reactions coming out of the film. Again, diving into what was oddly your first Apple TV experience.
Very oddly, but surprisingly good. Surprisingly good. Phil, this movie, I'm gonna just take the big piece of the cake here as far as what we're gonna praise for this movie and what we're gonna talk about, and that is the animation style. I think it's absolutely great. On Apple TV, they have a like little mini thing that you can watch to prepare for the movie, and it talks about how much like was hand drawn, which I thought really shows. And the first thing I thought about was, and I guess this is why maybe it was surprising upon first glance that you would recommend this. We've talked about Studio Ghibli on this series and others on the podcast, and you have talked about how like that's, you know, static, that straight background, just kind of that still background, I should say, does and does not work sometimes for you. It absolutely works in this film, so I can see why you enjoy it, because the colors pop off immediately. The world feels alive, and I really enjoyed that about the movie. There wasn't a moment where I wasn't drawn into the screen, and I think the animation is the probably strongest point of this movie. If you are a fan of unique animation, good animation, this is absolutely a must-watch just off of that alone.
Yeah, the amount of time and effort that went into this, I was really bummed because I couldn't find my exact notes from that episode. But I mean, we're talking hours upon hours where they would layer the still background and then go back in and then render the 3D backgrounds, and we're talking about shading and coloring and all these kinds of things. So much work it went into it. They actually had like a special camera rig for a lot of the first person shots that you see in the film, in the wolf vision shots. And like you said, Eric, it just makes for an absolutely stunning experience. I wish this was a film that did release in theaters, because I would love to see it on a really big XD IMAX screen. Like you said, I think the colors and would really have popped. So yeah, like you said, that's definitely the first thing to point out. And yeah, it just makes it it made it for a really easy purchase, because I actually own the art book for this as well. I bought it for my daughter, and it was just something that I immediately had to go get so I could go back in and, you know, learn more about it, and also revel in, again, like you said, the technical feat that is this film, because it is stunning.
Yeah, and because this is an international film, like, we definitely got to talk about kind of the uniqueness of this film in both its tone and its story, where it's located. And I thought, Phil, everything with the story had a lot of really great elements from an international standpoint, which is why we picked it here. Obviously, that Irish background, but also on the English side, right? Because obviously our main character is kind of a foreigner here, and is trying to make do. Her father is trying to make do, trying to keep his head low, trying to do a good job in this town so they can feel welcome. I thought a lot of that was really interesting. I'm curious where you stood on the characters, because while there are some strong points here, I gotta say, Phil, this is probably where I will bring criticisms at some point in the episode, because I was balling my fist at points. And I'll tell you why. We'll talk about it. You might know already. But I really want to focus on what you loved about these characters, because there definitely is a lot to love, especially with certain ones in particular.
So obviously front and center is Meb and Robin. They are the two main characters here. Meb is the Wolfwalker character, and who is just a ball of fire, like really a lot of Nimona elements here. And obviously this came out way before Nimona, but a lot of tendencies very similar to that character. And I just really loved their relationship, borderlining on essentially what is going to be a found family type of film. So I really enjoyed that, and obviously, like, they are the whole crux of the film. Like, if you don't buy into their relationship, none of this works whatsoever. So I actually mentioned in my review back at Netflix and Phil a couple of years ago that Robin and Meb were, as far as animated films, one of my favorite duos that I had seen in a very, very long time. So I loved the main characters. So I will be very pained if it's those two that you had a problem with.
That's an interesting take there.
Oh my God.
I do think that Meb is awesome. I think Meb is everything they wanted Merida to be for Brave. I think it's just it was very obvious. She has that energy that's infectious. She's a lot of fun. Robin and her stupid dad, dude. Man,
her dad is very frustrating.
Sean Bean, right? That we love him. Great actor. The voice acting, great. I do want to definitely put that. And Robin and Meb's relationship is good, but Robin as a character sucks. Just sucks so much. I've never watched between her and her stupid dad make so many terrible decisions. And
She's a child.
No. And it's constant. And they're both making stupid decisions. He's a grown ass man. So like you could excuse Robin to a certain point, but literally like just the decision making in this film from those two particular characters, extremely frustrating. Me and my son's loving the movie, of course. It's made for him out of the audience that was watching it. But me and my wife look at each other like, we are not doing this right now. This is not happening. And it's just, again, some of the most dumb decisions that these characters make. And it feels like this movie film, one of the things that I think would have helped with a lot of the story beats definitely is the time. It's an hour and 43 minutes, which is a nice, brisk time for an animated film. But I feel like one with a story like this that it was trying to tell could have benefited from an additional 15 to 30 minutes. I'm very curious, how did you feel about the runtime? Did you feel like everything was cleaned up nicely by the end? Or were you like me and thinking that there were some story beats that either felt rushed, came out of nowhere, or could have used some more time?
I think just coming out of it, I was just so enamored by the film that I probably didn't really notice too much. Now, I rewatched it within the last few months, and I still didn't really have too much more that I was like really kind of grasping for. Obviously, because I love the movie, I would have loved more of it. I don't think that it's a film that really lends itself to a sequel in film form. Maybe if you wanted to bring these characters to the smaller screen and have like an animated series, sure, you could maybe convince me of that. But coming out of it, not necessarily. But again, I would have been happy with more of it just because I was so invested in the story and in their relationship when it came to what was going on. So I didn't necessarily have that issue, no.
Yeah, no, and I think when we talk spoilers, which we'll have a little warning for in a bit, it won't take very long if you haven't seen the film. And it's also not anything that's too crazy as far as the story, but this is a movie that, Phil, I think just was really, really well done across the board. I think it's a very good film that could be great. And you know I'm just a big plot guy, so if like the plot and character decisions don't make sense for me, and again, maybe that's why with children's movies, sometimes I can be a little harsher than you are, because you just live in La La Land in your imagination. You're like, oh, pretty flowers. And I'm just like, hold on a second. What's going on here with the story? What's happening here? I don't care that she's a child. Why are we making these decisions?
Yeah, no, I don't. I don't know what to say to what it is. I don't know what La La Land that I'm living in.
Oh, pretty. Oh, look.
No, that's the first thing you started off was how beautiful the film is. What are you talking about?
No, I know, but sometimes you get so enamored in it that you just like forget.
No, I got enamored in the fact
things.
that it is a very well done story, and the characters are great, and the world is really beautiful, and it's a tale about when it comes to Irish folklore that I certainly wasn't really in tune with. So learning all of that was really, really cool as well, which is why it is an international feature. So all of that lore and everything, like I'm a sucker for that for sure. And then, I think with the time period and the time setting, I thought that lent itself really well to this animation style too. So yeah, I don't know what La La Land that is other than just enjoying the movie for what it was.
Well, Phil, I would be curious how the reception to this movie was before we jump into some of those spoilers, and we probably argue for a solid couple minutes, because I agree with like the latter half of everything you just said. But again, some of those things just can't get over. And I can't wait to have that discussion with you, because I think I've made you mad. So how did people receive it? Am I in the minority at least?
Yeah. You're definitely in the minority. First, let me have this conversation with you, because it's something I brought up in my Netflix and Phil episode. Because this was nominated for Best Animated Feature in 2021. And it was nominated with Soul, Onward, Over the Moon, and Shaun of the Sheep, Farmageddon, which I don't think either one of us have seen. But you have seen Soul, Onward, and Over the Moon. Did you like Wolfwalkers more than any of those three?
Soul was the winner that year, right?
Soul won.
Soul deserved to win, yeah.
Yeah, no, this is way better than Soul.
No.
This is a much better movie than Soul. It's definitely better than Onward.
From an animation standpoint, it is, but not enough to beat out the movie as a whole. Not in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I definitely think this is way better than Soul and Onward. I've forgotten about Soul.
Onward is not great.
Immediately.
Onward is not great at all. It doesn't get away with the Pixar animation, but let's not pretend the Pixar animation isn't strong. So I'm not saying that Soul is a better looking movie, but it has enough good and great. You'd even say great animation still. I think what it was trying to do there just worked better from a formulaic standpoint, like how they put it together. There's just a couple things that didn't work for me here.
Well, maybe we need to see Shaun of the Sheep, Farmageddon, because maybe that's actually the best animated film of 2021. And Over the Moon, I think, is on our list of like late to the parties, because I have not seen it yet. So those were the films that it was up against in 2021. And yes, in terms of minority, 99% tomato meter score, 98% audience score, and a 4.2 average on Letterboxd. And I mentioned this as well back in a couple of years ago. This had become one of my favorite animated films that I had seen in a long time. It is in my top 25 list. I love this film. I have it at a 5 on Letterboxd, just because I love it. My daughter loved it. I watched it with my sister, and I'll go back and watch it anytime, any day, and I cannot recommend it enough. So I have it at a 5.
A 5 is so wild. I was not prepared for that. I don't actually think I'm that far off on a Letterboxd standpoint. Rotten Tomatoes, again, I would fall under the camp that Rotten Tomatoes speaks to, because it's essentially, do you recommend the film or not? And I do recommend this film, which is why we're talking about it. But Phil, this movie for me, on first watch, a strong 3.5 with the opportunity of a 4. A 5 is crazy to me. When you said top 25, you're saying top 25 animated films, right?
Animated, yeah.
Okay, cool, because that would have concerned me. Fine. Yeah, I guess so.
Let's see.
Phil, don't do this. Don't do this. Okay, it's got a lot of MonsterVerse movies to pass for your top 25 all time.
Oh, it might be on there.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
This isn't in order. Well, the first 5 are in order, but after that, it's not in order.
Yeah, I think it's a solid 3.5. I think the animation alone makes up for a lot of that figure. There are lovable things about this characters you can relate to, you can really enjoy. And I think for that alone, that 3.5 is warranted. I can easily see myself sitting down if it was on, watching it again, and enjoying it a little bit more. When I kind of think of movies that have done that, although the score initially wasn't the same, films like Elemental, like the more I watched Elemental, I really started to fall in love with it. I think this movie has the same type of thing that it can do for a viewer, is the more you sit with it, the more you watch it, the more you can really fall in love with the world, the characters, and the movie itself.
Yeah, that's fair. And I'm glad to hear that your son liked it. I figured this would be right up his alley. What did you think of the song, the Wolfwalkers song? Because it will be, I did add it to the playlist this week.
Yeah, talked about wolves a lot.
I'm pretty sure the song was around before the movie, but
it was
but
very,
like, hey,
it was
look.
very fitting. I was waiting for Shakira's She-Wolf to pop up, but it didn't
No,
happen.
absolutely not. No.
She's
Yes, let's
a
put in.
she-wolf
Stop.
in
Yes, we
the-
know what She-Wolf sounds like.
Oh, okay.
Yes, let's put in the Colombian pop star into this Irish folklore movie.
If it wasn't gonna be a copyright issue, I'd say that would be the perfect spot to just put a quick Shakira
Yeah, no, I'm not going to
clip.
put Shakira into any clip here.
Well, with that being said, I think we've had a really good conversation about Wolfwalkers. If you have not seen Wolfwalkers, this may be a good time to step away. If you do not like listening to loud noises, this also may be a good time to step away, because there are some things that frustrated me, and I think Phil giving it a 5, it's going to be hard for him to listen to reason here. So I think it may be best, just in general. if
Says
you're
the man
watching-
that put Elemental in his top 4 films of 2023.
I will stand by that decision, but I definitely think that maybe just in general, you should just leave here. So all of our audience members, this is just a me and Phil thing. If you're not me and Phil, I'm sure Phil will put a warning here, but now you have been warned. Phil,
Oh yeah, I got to put the get out.
get out!
Get out.
Get the hell out! Get out! Get out! Get out! Okay. Get out! Get out!
So, Phil, dude, Robin is so fucking annoying, dude. And then her dumb dad. It's just those two characters, really. I get wanting to keep your daughter safe. I kind of understood that at first. But from the dad standpoint, like, he just wasn't listening to fucking reason at some point. Like, he was just being such a fucking ridiculous dude. And maybe if I felt more like responsibility about the mom and like the promise that was made, maybe I'd understand from his perspective why he would do that. As a father, I definitely do. But like at some point, if your daughter keeps running away and getting into these situations and you keep letting it happen, like that's kind of on you. And then with Robin makes the worst decisions, and then just when you think she learns something, she doesn't. So she lies to her dad until it gets to a trouble point that there's no coming back from. Then she lies to Meb about her mom when she could just clearly tell her why she's acting this way. Just God, dude, the decisions by these two characters alone. And honestly, I don't think they're good characters together. I think they're a terrible father-daughter relationship. I don't think you're the father of a daughter. Did you feel like this was a good relationship between the two of them? I for sure didn't.
I mean, well, there was a lot of shared trauma between the two of them, and then a lot of issues when it came to trust and understanding them. So, yeah, it was. I think that is what made it not strong, but I think that's what made it interesting and compelling, is because it wasn't on the outside looking in. You think, oh, that he's a great dad, he's a good dad, but in terms of the communication between the two of them, no, that was not good, and that was the point of it. I mean, we're talking about like he was like the hunter in this camp, in this neighborhood, or not neighborhood.
But is he
in
though?
this? Well, I mean, he's.
But is he though? Because but listen, just to hear me out, right, Mr. 5 out of 5. I need you to hear me. So you're telling me this town of fucking buffoons who couldn't by the way, there was a shocker of the world for me, which I'll address in a second. These fucking buffoons in this town can't catch shit. He's shown no ability to do more than these fucking soldiers in here with this Lord Protector, right? The Lord Protector's the only dude that was about that fucking life. Okay, he was the only one ready to throw fucking down. He had control. I liked him. I was kind of rooting for him at one point.
Yeah, he was a good villain. Okay, well that's too far.
So,
that's definitely too far.
I'm just saying, like Lord Frollo, we were getting close. But Judge Claude Frodo, man. Okay, anyway, so we have no proof that he can do anything competently, and then he shoots the mom bear, dude. I gasped. I did not see it coming. I said, we did all this, and this mama bear, or this mama wolf is gonna die? Mama wolf's gonna die here? So it got me there, but there was nothing to make me believe that would have happened in that moment, for the pure fact of the incompetencies of these characters. Nobody showed an ability to do anything even remotely
How much
close to that.
backstory do you need to show?
Show me
like,
why is he tasked with this? Why does he know the land? They're not from there. Why does he know the land?
I'm pretty sure they migrated. They're immigrants. Like they immigrated there.
Okay, well, he
for
should
the
have
opportunity.
immigrated some skills to hunt because they weren't present.
Oh my god.
They weren't present, Phil. And then on top of that, like they didn't even show him like catch a bunny or like something small. Like show me.
Why would a rabbit be a threat to the kingdom?
Just show me that you can catch something. At no point did he show that he was a skilled fighter, that he was a skilled hunter, a bowman. Nothing. There was no skills present, Phil. He's barely a father because he can't keep control of his damn daughter.
yes, because he has responsibilities.
Being
he's
a
not
bad
a stay-at-home dad.
He's a bad father at home because he's a bad hunter at work. Just listen.
No,
you're just not listening to reason.
No, this is such nitpicky bullshit. I'm so irritated.
It is not.
Right now.
And then
it is such nitpicky bullshit.
Robin also just keep fucking up until her dad gets demoted.
Robin, who has literally been brought up thinking that Wolfwalkers are evil and they murder people. That's all she knows. That's all that everybody around her talks about. And you want her to just very easily change her line of thinking within. I mean, obviously it happens within the course of the movie, but that's her whole upbringing. Is that this is the life that she lives. This is the lore that has been taught to her.
Yeah, and then we see that she's also, I'm assuming it's a gene thing, she's also a bad shot and a bad hunter, so she almost gets her bird killed. You get what I'm saying? She almost gets her bird killed. Then she almost gets, she gets people almost killed constantly in this movie, Phil, for dumb decisions. But listen, I'm glad you enjoyed it. I'm glad. 5 out of 5 crazy, though. 5 out of 5 crazy. I can be nitpicking. 5 out of 5? 5 out of 5, Phil.
It's a great movie. It's a beautiful story.
Puss in Boots level rating?
Yes, it is a great story. It's got beautiful animation. It's got great characters, and I love it. And it's a great movie. We're arguing as if like you didn't enjoy the movie.
No, I enjoyed it, but it's because you love it so much that it's just like infuriating that you won't even like listen to listen. You can disagree with everything and even the bad father take. You could disagree with that. That man cannot hunt. That man is a bad hunter, and for you to objectively just disagree with me,
I feel like he's pretty large, so he must be pretty good at hunting.
There's no evidence. You remember when I said 15 minutes would have helped? Some type of backstory into where what a kill.
I'm sorry you did. Yeah, I'm sorry you didn't get the hunting montage that you so desperately needed to bring this from a 3.5 to a 4.
And honestly, I probably never will. I will hold it because I was clenching, Phil. And it was about like the 5th or 6th time Robin had made the same fucking mistake, the same thing leading to consequences that I was like, all right, so we're just genuinely not going to listen to our dad here. We're just not going to listen. I kept looking over to my son like, this is you, you know. This is you to a T. I ask you to do something, you don't do it. Please don't sneak out. Okay.
Okay, we're okay. Again, this is a child. This is an animation and young adult trope that has been around for decades. That kids sneak out of the house. I don't understand why that's so.
And when it's done in this way, it's a shitty trope, Phil. Like because it's been done for decades. Okay, there's a lot of things we've done for decades.
Your
that are
argument
bad
is that don't sneak out, and then so she's just supposed to stay in the house, and then that's the whole fucking movie. She just stays in.
No, I totally get it. And then when her dad faces fucking consequences, then she submits to the rules, but for some reason doesn't tell Meb at all about her mom telling her not to fucking to run away. Your mom told me you need to run away. Your mom's here. No, let's let her find out in the most dramatic way possible. And you're a liar. And then you end up just saving her mom anyway. And your dad still hates you, doesn't agree with you. Like it didn't in saving the mom, you chose the mom, this random family over your dad who you guys have such a great relationship. Why would you do that? And then we end the movie, Phil, with them all being a family together. Where did that come from? I didn't like it.
I don't want to talk to you about this anymore. I need to go stretch and play basketball because I have a game coming up.
The game did start. I figured you were going to put a timer once we got there. But those are my quarrels. Again, some of them may be minor, but it happens so frequently that it just started to affect my score. So that's where we sit. 5 out of 5. Wild. But Phil, anything else you want to say before we wrap up this episode, which I think was a fun conversation. We had a great time.
I wanted to let you know that after the end of the year rewards, I moved Elemental further down my 2023 list. So I just want to end with that on a positive note.
Petty, dude. You're absolutely petty. It's just petty behavior. Because I didn't like this movie at a 5 out of 5. It's a 3.5. It's a respectable score.
No, 3.5 is fine. I'm okay. I'm happy with a 3.5 out of 5. Again, we're just gonna have to break this and go watch Shaun of the Sheep. Is what we're gonna have to do, and find out that we love that movie more than anything that came out in 2020, and just agree upon that. So,
and just in case Corey or any of our other listeners that know our rating, this was much better than The Shining. So,
absolutely. I mean, that's not really difficult. You know who really loves Wolfwalkers is Eli. So I hope Eli listens to this episode and sends you a thumbs down, Shaun of the Sheep.
There's no way. Eli, let us know. He's a bad hunter. Everything else fine, but he's bad at his job.
Oh man, you know what I'd like to see is, I don't know if you've seen all the memes on Twitter putting Kobu in every movie. I'd like to see Kobu in Wolfwalkers and see how it goes.
No, we're not talking about Kobu now. Okay, just end the episode. Put this episode down and do what that dad couldn't. Okay.
Oh, well. Wow, this was not fun. Guys, thanks so much for joining us for the May edition of, what is this? International Feature. We appreciate it. If you want to find all the rest of our content, as well as any other episodes of International Feature, click the Linktree link in the show notes. You'll find all the rest of our content, as well as our social media pages. The most important ones to keep up with being TikTok, Instagram, our growing Discord page, and Twitch, where myself and friend of the show Jordan just recently started streaming. That has been a whole lot of fun. And if you want to support the show extra, you can go to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, leave us 5-star reviews. You can also share our content, tag us, let us know that you're listening, let your friends know that you are listening. All of that is very, very helpful. And we'll see you at Bold Matsuri in about a month. So we are ready to party with you guys and just hang out with some really cool voice actors, but also see all of you guys. We're very, very excited for that. But if you want to go the extra mile and maybe support the show, a different way, Eric will let you know how you can do all of that.
Yeah, so of course there's all those free options and our growing communities there. But if you're wanting to support us, you can do that directly through our Buzzsprout page, or you could take those funds and move them to Patreon, where patrons like Stefan and Briar are helping the show continue forward and supporting the show, in turn getting access to things like behind the scenes and early access to episodes like this one. Your support's truly appreciated, but even if you can't support us that way, the likes, comments, engagements, the listens are much appreciated. We've been paying attention to those download numbers the last couple weeks. They have been looking pretty nice. We really appreciate the support. I know those are just numbers, so I want to give you a personal thank you for each of you that are listening. We see them, we see you, and we couldn't do this without you. With that being said, my name is Mr. Eric Almighty. That is my co-host, Phil the Filipino. And please don't forget, we release new episodes every Wednesday for the podcast with bonus content on platforms like TikTok. And all you got to do is wait for it.
So, I heard you're looking for a go-to source for entertainment. Wait for it. Gaming. Wait for it. Anime. Plus Ultra! Mr. Eric Almighty and Phil the Filipino? Yeah, they've got you covered. And all you gotta do is wait for it. This is the Wait For It podcast.